Hello everyone. In the previous video, we have discussed about the difference between Selenium and Playwright, and in this video, we are going to discuss about Playwright architecture. Let's get started. So Playwright uses client-server architecture, and we have total three different components in the Playwright architecture, and those are client library, which will be having the code which we have written using a different programming languages, and we will be having Playwright server. So what is this Playwright server means? Playwright has its own server which is Node.js based, and we will be having the browsers which we will be making use for execution. Now, whenever we execute our test script using Playwright, a request will be sent to your Playwright server, and that request will be passed to your browsers. So now the communication between your Playwright server and browsers will be happen through CDP. So what is the CDP means? CDP stands for Chrome DevTools Protocols. Okay, so your Playwright server uses CDP to communicate with your browsers. Whenever a request is sent from your Playwright server to the browser, so it will process that request and it will give you back the response. Now that response will be passed back to your client library, means from the place where you have executed your script. You will get to know the results of your script. Now the communication between your Playwright server and browser was done through CDP, and how it was communicating between your client library and Playwright server was using WebSockets. So this is how your Playwright architecture works. So whatever the request we are going to pass from the client library, it will be passed to your Playwright server with the help of WebSockets. Now, based on your Playwright architecture, there is one important interview question that every interviewer is going to ask you, that is, why Playwright is better than Selenium. So, to understand this, let's discuss the other option we have apart from WebSocket. So, there is one more option called HTTPS. Okay, so let's consider client and server. Okay, so we are making use of HTTPS. So HTTPS stand for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Okay, so whenever a request is sent to your server will process that request and it will give you back the response. So once this entire process is done, sending the request and getting the response back from your server, the connection between your client and server will be ended. Again, whenever you are sending another request and that request will be processed from your server, you will get back the response. Again, the connection will be ended. So this is how your HTTPS protocol works. So each and every time whenever you are doing a request, a connection will be established from your client to the server, and once you get the response, the connection will be ended. This is how HTTPS works. And we have one more option, that is using WebSockets. Let's discuss how WebSockets are different from HTTPS. The same example, we'll be taking client and server. Whenever a request is sent to your server, so there a handshake will be happen between your client and server. To understand this in a better way, let's assume that a connection will be established between your client and server. Okay, so once the connection is established, we can send n number of requests and we can get the response in a same connection. So this is called as bi-directional communication. So if you are using WebSockets, we no need to establish the connection every time whenever we are sending the request. We will send only the request once. A connection will be established between your client and server. Using that same connection, we can send n number of requests and we can get the response. Now, when any one side channel closes, means it can be from the client side or it can be even from the server side. So only on that case your connection will be terminated, or you can say your connection will be closed. This is how WebSockets work. Now, whenever you compare with HTTPS and WebSockets, there is a huge difference in the time taken to get the request and response, because every time whenever you are sending a request, it will establish a connection and it will disconnect the connection in the HTTPS. But in case of WebSockets, it is completely different. You establish a connection, even it is also called as handshake. Once that is done, you can send n number of requests and you can get the response. Now, whenever you compare with these two, which one do you think is better in terms of execution or in terms of taking time? Definitely the answer will be WebSockets. Now, why Playwright is better than Selenium? Because Playwright uses WebSockets and Selenium uses HTTPS request. That is the huge difference we have between Selenium and Playwright. And the execution in Playwright is 2 to 3 times faster than Selenium. This is how you can answer for this question in your next Playwright interviews. I'll be uploading a complete playlist through which we'll be learning Playwright from the scratch. Link is added in the description. You can go and check out the playlist. Hope you have understood how Playwright architecture works. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.